Good day, guys. Travis here, efficiency hobbyist. So, back in 2024, when I bought this car and these solar panels, I had a very specific question in mind. Could I build a solar carport to offset 100% of the running costs of this car? Now, armed with over a year's worth of data, I think I have a pretty definitive answer.
But first, we need to talk about both the car and the carport. The car is a 2023 Tesla Model Y dual motor long range all wheel drive and rode on the factory 19-inch wheels and tires for the duration of this test. The carport is a 4,800 watt array built with bifacial solar panels on approximately a 28-degree angle and facing very nearly due south. For those of you wondering where the data comes from, I'm actually going to do a combination of 3 different apps, the first of which is the Tesla app, which ended up being the most optimistic, but at the same time also gave the most information about where I was charging and how I was charging. Dataset 2 comes from my Tessie app, which is a separate subscription service that you can pay for. You just get a lot of different data metrics and stuff from this app that you can't necessarily get from the Tesla app itself. And data point 3 is going to come from my Energy Emporia home monitoring software. So this should actually capture all of my level 2 charging that I do at home. And the final set of data points are going to come from the software on my EG4 inverter. So luckily enough, this can isolate out how much power is coming from each individual array, and array 3 happens to be my solar carport. So I will make an additional note at this time that January through May was not the full output that these panels were capable of. I didn't actually finish the carport install until late in May, so June was the first full month of full power production. Before that, I just had not quite all of the panels thrown out on the ground, absorbing whatever sun they could to generate at the time.
The last thing to assess here before I get into the data is how far did I drive? And the answer to that is 14,240 miles.
So I figured the easiest way to represent all this data would be a bar graph. So I threw everything into this, and as you can see, I've got kilowatt hours on this axis and I have months on this axis, so January, February, March, April, so on and so forth. And then we have the Tesla app, which ended up being usually the most optimistic of the bunch in blue, the Tessie app in this sort of gold color, and the Emporia Energy Monitor in a dark gray. In addition to that, I threw the solar carport generation up here in green just to make it so that you could see how much I drove and used versus how much my panels actually generated. Now again, do remember that the generation was actually lower than it would have been for the first several months of the year because until June I didn't have full production up from that array. Having said that, there was some differences between the 3 monitoring apps, but in the end, due to the excess amount of solar that I generated over the course of the year, it really was a negligible amount of information. In addition to that, I did do some supercharging and a lot of road tripping in May and June of this year. So to adjust for this, I took the percentages off my Tesla app and adjusted them accordingly for my percentage charged at home versus my percentage charged other places. So this graph is probably a little easier to look at. This is the annualized returns for all of 2025. So the Tesla app, 4,300, Tessie, 4,500, Emporia, 4,700, and then the overall solar generation of my carport, even when it wasn't at full power, almost 5,300. So really, the amount of power that's differences here are probably not enough to have made any difference. I would expect the Emporia to be the highest because this is also measuring at the panel level as opposed to at the car level. So we're also accounting for all of the energy losses through the wiring, whatever power it takes to actually turn on and maintain function within the level 2 charger itself. So I would expect this to be the highest number, and it is. So I think the data is probably pretty reliable, and more or less I had way more power generation than I really needed if I were only looking to have offset the cost of driving the car itself. So the last bit of interesting data that I think I have to offer here is how did my data stack up versus the EPA rating for the car? All right, this chart is kind of a lot to unpack, but let's just choose one column and work our way through it. Let's start with the EPA rating. So it claims that I should achieve 280 watt hours per mile. That means if I drove 14,237 miles, I would have used 3,932 kilowatt hours. If I'm paying 13.5 cents per kilowatt hour, that means that I would have spent $530.82, again, to drive 14,237 miles. And if we assume that all that is the same, 13.5 cents, and we set gas at $3 a gallon, that means I would have achieved 80.5 miles to the gallon in this vehicle. So I know that that's a very large discrepancy from the 120 something that the Windows sticker states, but there's a lot of inconsistencies and problems in terms of how much you pay per kilowatt hour of electricity, as well as fluctuating gas prices. So I really dislike using the miles per gallon equivalent. I understand why they do it. They have to set it to an even playing field as to how that would compare with both other electric vehicles and gasoline electric vehicles. But it's very just not a useful metric. So if you're an electric car driver, the most useful metric is basically miles per kilowatt hour. This means that for every 1 kilowatt hour of energy I can put in, this is what I can expect to get out of it. So every 1 kilowatt hour would go 3 miles if I take my Emporia energy data, which is certainly the most realistic of the bunch because this is all of the electricity the car actually uses. This is all of the preconditioning of the car, all of the charging losses associated with actually putting electricity into this vehicle. So I really feel that this is most likely the most accurate representation of how much my total energy use is to charge and use this car. So of note, 3 miles to the kilowatt hour is much lower than the 3.6 that it's rated for in the EPA. But again, the EPA cycle is not just, it can't adjust for whether you have to precondition in a cold climate or whether you're parking in a garage or whether you have to precondition for a hot climate. So really, if you're looking at Windows sticker EPA ratings, you really can only compare this number against similar cars that are also electric vehicles. For those of you thinking that I'm just being hard on the Tesla, I'm really not. 3 miles per kilowatt hour is still more than most other all-wheel drive electric SUVs are rated for from factory. And that's what I'm getting after all of the losses. All of the charging related issues, all of the heating, all of the cooling, all of the battery preconditioning, everything. I'm still achieving 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is freaking phenomenal. The other thing is, if I were comparing this to a comparable fuel vehicle, what other vehicle has over 400 horsepower and still gets 67 plus miles to the gallon? So of the half dozen vehicles I've owned over the course of the last 20 years, I actually am not exaggerating when I say this is actually my favorite vehicle I've owned overall, period.
Guys, if this was helpful, please like, subscribe, maybe throw it a hype point, and I'll see you in the next one.